Hello, everybody. My name is Ray. Welcome to the Evangelical Dark Web. Today, we'll be diving deeper into the Russell Moore story and how a second letter has come out. And the second letter is eerily similar to the first letter. And we're going to take a deeper dive into that. And I would argue it's plagiarism. And what I mean by that is he is rehashing the same letter twice, and that is very suspicious. That should set off a lot of alarm bells in your head about the authenticity of the first letter, which was supposedly written and sent to the executive committee of the ERLC's Board of Trustees in 2020, early 2020. And now this letter, 15 or 16 months later, is sent to J.D. Greer, this resignation letter, and it's pretty darn similar to the first letter that I just mentioned. So, is Russell Moore really a stagnant thinker over the course of a year of being complicit in Southern Baptist covering up of sex abuse? Or is the first letter a fake? And what I mean by that is it was not actually written then. It was written closer to when the second letter was written. And that explains the similarities between the two letters. So let's dive on into these similarities. So this is a plagiarism checker. On the left, you will see the new letter. This is on the left is the resignation letter. On the right is the letter that was leaked to the pagan religion news service. So that one's dated February 24th, 2020, and this one was dated, I believe, May 31st. And it's a little wonky the way this one copied and pasted, which is probably why it's only an 8.3% match. That is very inaccurate. I don't know why this plagiarism tracker missed a lot. So let's go through what is missed. So, and I think the key differences in the second letter and the first letter is that the resignation letter, which is the second letter, is more fleshed out on naming names. So Mike Stone is specifically named in the resignation letter, and it's also tailored to J.D. Greer, whereas the initial letter, which is this one here on the right, is a far broader audience. So that's where we get some similarities. So as you can see, like the letters are following the same format. So here we have pretty much an identical paragraph. At least one speaker, one invited speaker. So you see like very subtle changes. At least one invited speaker harshly criticized us. At least one speaker harshly criticized us for not doing enough, not handling. You see the plagiarism there? And then we get the part about Rachel Dunhollander, who is introduced in the same fashion in both letters. Olympic gymnast, all that. So that part is much of the same. And again, this part is the same. I refuse to censor or stop anything she had to say in that conversation. She spoke about her thoughts. And here he says, I said that I would not at all censor anything she had to say. That would have been true about anything, but certainly would have been true about a survivor person. So let's move on to some more interesting. This was communicated with special outrage, especially upset, is how he changes that. Like, this is like middle school level. Let me tweak words, use the thesaurus on Microsoft Word. That's basically what it looks like he did here. And for an academic perspective, it is possible to plagiarize yourself. You see that the second one Talks about Paige Patterson a little bit more, defender of the faith, which was caught in this plagiarism tracker, but not this one, which is certainly better because it has more of a word for word, and we can see what the plagiarism tracker missed, because there's a lot of missed items here. Here's that same quote. You got a nice little commission there. It would be a shame if something were to happen to it. Not only is, and then, same thing. I told Maria that at the time. This one appeals more, the leaked one to RNS appeals more to broader emotion, whereas this letter, but it's noteworthy that the same people enraged to combat would. Again, he's making more tactical arguments. So this one is clearly has a much more narrow audience. But if you think about it, despite how narrow, like this one's written to one person, that's J.D. Greer at the top. J.D. Greer. That is who it's written to. This one is written to the executive board of trustees. So the executive committee of the board of trustees. And the executive committee of the board of trustees is 6 names: David E. Prince, the chairman; Lori Bova, vice chairman; Ron Harvey, secretary; Trevor Atwood, another chairman; Michael Wilson, another chairman; Tony Beam, another chairman; and then Russell Moore. Those were the people that initially would have seen the letter if the letter was indeed sent in February of 2020. And I think there's enough reason to call that into question, because this is plagiarized well over a year later. He's plagiarizing the same material. He's rehashing the exact same material. It's just tweaked a little bit different, because the one on the right, despite being only sent to 6 people, is written for an extremely broad audience. It's an extremely broad audience that this one's written for. It's not very specific. This one over here is written for a very narrow audience, someone who has a little bit more inside knowledge. And that's why Mike Stone called the one on the right a backdoor press release. And then we get on the following Monday, on Monday morning, that meeting I gave before the cooperative program subcommittee, and nothing was asked about friendly, so it notes that this was very changed. The last time I was investigated, and so he talks about the same things as he did in the past letter. So there's a lot of similar content. I want to show you, where's my favorite? This one right here. And again, the plagiarism tracker didn't quite catch it. This whole paragraph is basically plagiarized in this letter. Everywhere I go. I remember reading that one specifically out loud. So this whole paragraph is plagiarized. Like word for word. He's just copied and pasted this entire paragraph and maybe changed a few things. And again, he names Mike Stone after this. That's a key difference. He names Mike Stone and Augie Bodo after this. So he names names. And then the only difference, another key difference, is Ravi Zacharias International Ministries is dropped, whereas it's not dropped in the original one. But again, this one has a much more specific audience. This one has a a broader audience. And quite honestly, it looks like he just rehashed the same email. That's the best case scenarios. He just, he had a Microsoft Word document and opened this document up and typed out more of the same. And that's basically what he did, is he plagiarizes himself here. I'm not afraid of them. This one has a poem, though, which is completely unnecessary. And, again, it actually does have some more references to singing and stuff, like this one does. So This follows very similar format. Russell Moore is really trying to bake in a narrative that he is this defender of the abused in the church. He's trying to create a false narrative that he has done so much for people who are victimized by, enemies within the church. He's trying to be the hero in this story, and he's not the hero in this story. He is someone that has been complicit in all that he's accusing Mike Stone and all these other people of doing. He has been complicit in it. Having a conference with Rachel Denhollander doesn't do anything to help anybody. It's a virtue signal. And that's all Russell Moore is doing here. He didn't have the balls to call out cover-ups while they were happening. Instead, he sat on this for years. Years he sat on this. He is a fraud. In the first letter, he talked about how they did not like him because he was too Southern Baptist for these people. Yet, where is he now? He is serving as like a minister in residence for a Paedo-Baptist church, Emmanuel of Nashville, which doesn't have the best history on the issue. Like, a lot of people who want to take Russell Moore's side on the issue of sex abuse in the church are calling him out, like Wartburg Watch, for instance, is kind of like questioning, why are you working with Ray Ortland's church? Because, another shady church that could be accused of doing everything that Russell Moore accused the executive committee the executive committee of the Southern Baptist Convention of doing with Mike Stone. So, again, Russell Moore is a fraud. And again, he's not that Southern Baptist if he's now serving at a Paedo-Baptist church. Because baptism is kind of what most signifies the difference between a Baptist and a Presbyterian is their doctrine on baptism and church polity. So he's not that Southern Baptist, and he also now works for the apostate Christianity Today. So Russell Moore is a complete wolf. He is a fraud. His letters are fraudulent. At worst, his letters are fraudulent at worst. At best, he's just rehashing the same material because he's such a stagnant thinker. And it's 5,000 words of self-indulgence. This guy has an ego, a major ego. So, Russell Moore is not someone you can trust. He's a coward at best and a maleficent wolf at worst. And I would say he's a wolf. So that's all I got to say about that. My name is Ray. This is the Evangelical Dark Web. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to the channel as well. And also check out evangelicaldarkweb.org and subscribe to that as well. Comment below what you think about what I think. Do you think the first letter was ever sent? Or do you think that they were both, that this was a planned press release with a with a cover story on it? So let me know what you think about what I think, and have a blessed day.